Hi, and welcome to First Thursdays at 3. This is our monthly Quote This Woman live conversation series. And this is where we come together to share and allow you to ask us anything. So today's focus is I have signed up and I've joined the QW Plus expert database. Now what? Right? So we're going to be showing you some of what we do in the background, or at least discussing some of what we do in the background and how we go about amplifying your voice as an expert and what you can do to stay visible, relevant, and ready. So here goes. I'm joined by two powerhouse women from the QW Plus team. And with me today, I have Wendy Papo, who is our database community communication and media manager. That is a mouthful, Wendy. She manages our newsletters, media matching, and we'll talk about that, community engagement, and making sure the brilliance of our network is heard and celebrated. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Renee, for inviting me.
Awesome, awesome. And then as well as we also have the lovely Palesa Manasoe, who is our Communications and Database Intern, who works closely on expert bios. So that when you've done your application and you've been asked for a bio, this is the human being that looks at it and goes, okay, I need to get a bit more meat or whatever else. And she monitors the Google alerts to track when you're being quoted so that we don't miss a moment of your media wins. So welcome, Palesa.
Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to jump right into it because there are a few things that when you're an expert and you sign up for the QW Plus database, you're sitting there going, what now? How do I go about the next step? So I'll start with you, Wendy. When someone submits their application to the QW Plus database, what happens behind the scenes? What are the steps that follow?
Yes, thank you so much, Renee, for that question. So there is a thorough, vigorous process that gets done in the back end. And so the process is that you sign in, you create your profile of the QW Plus database, and the process then kicks off. We ensure that your profile aligns with our mission and that the information that you have added is in fact correct. We also do a vetting stage whereby our team, consisting of myself and Palesa, will then review your application. We'll then go through everything that you've added on your profile. We assess the areas of expertise. We make sure that your background supports, what you've actually said that you've done. And then if everything checks out, then we then approve you, where we send you a welcome email to officially acknowledge that, you are in fact registered. But that's just the start, Next comes onboarding, where we then guide you as an expert, to ensure that the whole profile is complete, which is quite important because, a fully built profile increases visibility and media matching potential. And so if someone hasn't finished creating their profile right away, we'll then send an automated reminder, which you will get within 24 hours. Then after 1 week and again 28 days, just a gentle nudge, to get you along. And if the profile remains inactive for too long, we then archive that profile. But we'll also send you an email before that to give you an awareness, And so once the profile has been created and up and running, we then categorize each profile, based on expertise. And the reason for that is because we ensure that it's easy accessible for a journalist to find the right person very quickly when they're looking for insights and experts to feature. And then from then on, you add it to our database and also on our communication streams, like the newsletters, such as Google Alerts, and spotlighting opportunities. And right away, your voice is a part of a dynamic, active ecosystem. So I'd say that in summary, it's a mix of thoughtful review, guided onboarding, and ongoing support, all designed to make sure that our experts are not only listed on this database, but they're visible and ready, and media ready to be featured.
That's amazing. So there's a bit of guidance. I love that. So it's not just, oh, I've applied and now nobody looks at me and I kind of slip through the cracks. So that's incredible. Thank you so much for that. Palesa, you are managing the expert bios. Why is it important and what kind of information helps build a strong, visible profile?
Okay, so as you know that the media wants a credible bio, and that's what we want to give them. So I have to ensure that by the time the profiles are viewed by the journalists, the bios are accurate and up to date. And if the bio is not up to date or accurate, this kind of gives off a unprofessional image for our organization and the media, and there's gonna be a lack of trust between our organization and the media and journalists. So we want to ensure that journalists get the most accurate and up-to-date bios. And what makes the bio strong, the profile strong, is the number of experience. You have the experience that you have, number of years of experience that you have, your areas of expertise, and your qualifications also. Some people don't have qualifications, but they have a very huge number of years of experience in a different or a specific area of expertise. So yeah.
Okay, so take your time to build those bios, but if you didn't, it sounds like Palesa will get hold of you to help you create that. Yeah.
Definitely, yes,
Yeah, a
yes.
bio is so important. And I think sometimes when you apply on different websites, you don't know what am I supposed to say here? What do I put forward? So it's amazing that QW Plus has got a Palesa that goes and looks at that
Yeah,
bio and tries to see how do we make it that it's authentic, but that it
yes,
also showcases exactly what this person is an expert in. So the
yes.
other thing I wanted to ask you, and this is over and above, when you're creating a bio or when you're applying to be part of the database, how important is your social media handles, like LinkedIn, for example? I suppose that's the biggest one used in the space.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is like your life, basically your professional life, and your bio is your second LinkedIn. It's your
Yeah,
second life also.
yeah,
So you want to ensure that you have a media presence, you are active on social media, and it shows that if you're active on LinkedIn, then when journalists contact you, you will be ready to answer them, and you'll be ready to do any sort of interview. And it shows that your online presence is visible also.
yeah, yeah. So the reason for asking that question is I know when we went through the process of looking like matching people's LinkedIn to what they've got, it's so
Yeah.
difficult when there's no image. It's so difficult when there's no background. Like what was my not I know we said not necessarily education, but I suppose I'm speaking to anyone applying or who has applied. Update those LinkedIn profiles so that we get the true reflection of what you do. If you've written an article, make sure it's there so that we can see it, post about it so that we can also brag about it. But it's about that visibility. Like you just said, now LinkedIn is it's actually your professional life right out there. It's a dashboard for everyone, but it's also
Yes,
what
yes,
QW Plus can amplify if we are
yes,
able to verify that Renee Sparks is this person. Yeah, so
yes,
it's useful when there's a picture, it's useful when there's a title, it's useful when if there's academic accolades or whatever that it's there. And if you are not academic, academic at all, but your expertise is on the ground and in community, then your relevant pieces of that evidence is what you would put
yeah.
on LinkedIn profile. So awesome.
And yes, and you
Yeah.
know
So,
that sometimes people want to see the face behind the profile. So now if they can't see the face, they really don't know who you are. They do see your work, but they don't know who you are. They have
yeah.
never seen you before.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And now you're saying you're an expert. So please, experts out there, we want to claim that. We want to stand in that light, but you can only do that if you actually help us to make sure that your profile is as meaty as possible. That makes
Yeah.
Palesa's life easy as well to kind of come up.
Yes.
So Palesa, the next one is also for you, and it's about the Google Alerts. So you monitor Google Alerts to see when our experts are being quoted. How do you use that information, and what impact does it have?
Okay, so what I do, okay, I post the Google Alerts each and every day, literally every day on social media. And you will see that on the caption of the post, you will see where it says hashtag quoted expert. And then it starts with QW plus database member, and it says the name of the expert. So that shows that we are amplifying our experts' voices in the media and society, and we want to make sure that they are seen and people see the great work that they do, and they see that we do advocate for what they're also advocating for. And yeah, and the impact it has, it shows that our database is actually up and running. It shows that we are active, and we are, we want to make sure that our experts are in the media, just like we say that we amplify experts voices in the media and society.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
it's living our vision and mission. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is brilliant. I think, when you register on any database and nobody says anything and you're not seeing anything, you often like, why am I part of this? And I think that's
Yeah.
one thing QW Plus does well with Palesa, looking at those Google alerts and making sure, okay, you know what, this is one of our database members, let's amplify. And so there's many other ways of doing that. But before we get on to the next question for Wendy, I just want to say welcome, Javas. I've seen you. You're more than welcome to ask us any questions that you have. We're talking about the QW Plus database, and just, once you've registered as an expert, what to expect. So these are the benefits of being on the database that we're unpacking. Okay, so moving on then, Wendy, I'd like to talk about the QW Plus newsletter. It's one of our key platforms. How do you decide what stories or which experts to feature? And what's the goal of that communication?
Great question, Renee. So at QW Plus, we run 3 newsletters, and each of them serve a unique purpose. 2 of these are called media alerts that we directly send to journalists. These are highly responsive to current events and trending topics. So, for example, we recently had the South Africa US trip. um, we knew the topic would be, of dominance in media coverage. So we proactively reached out to our experts in relevant fields. We asked them if they've been very comfortable in speaking and engaging on this diplomatic issue that was trending. And we also requested quotes. So if anybody wanted to give a voice on the current issue, and once they confirm that they're comfortable in being featured and being reached out by media, we then compile the inputs into this media alert. We share it with our journalist network. Journalists then reach out to them either directly, or they usually reach out to me to coordinate the interviews. And so another example was the budget, the 3 budget speeches that we had. We sent out alerts for all 3 budget speeches to journalists. Journalists picked up the experts, which led to meaningful, media coverage for our experts. Our 3rd newsletter is our community newsletter that we send on monthly. And it's both a celebration and a strategic tool. So basically, we feature expert stories that showcase impact, such as media appearances, published opinion pieces, or our community contributions. And this basically helps boost visibility and inspire others in the network, as well as drive engagement. And so I think your other question was on selecting, how do we select the themes? I think our aim is called this Women Plus is diversity. So we aim for diversity in themes, diversity in the different sectors that we have within our database. so that we can reflect the full richness of Code's W Plus network. We also have the Code Me On, that podcast that we run monthly, featuring the different experts to give their voices on different issues. And so I'd say that in a nutshell, the goal of all these newsletters is to amplify our expert voices. We spark, new opportunities and build a sense of, momentum, not just for the individuals that we have within our database, but for the collective as a whole.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We've just spoken for a few minutes, but I think anyone listening, anyone who's part of our community that hasn't tapped into any of these things, if you have not been featured, reach out to us, ask us, how do I go about doing that? You need to be part of this community and active in this community. And I think it speaks to, don't just sign up, but actually be active. And that is what we need. So if you're not writing opinion pieces, we're obviously not picking you up on Google Alerts. If you're not being interviewed, we're not picking you up on anything. But if there is something that you're doing that needs to be amplified, then please do reach out to us. You can definitely reach out via the website, but also through our social media pages, any of those. We do man that and we do respond. So please do take advantage of those opportunities. So you've mentioned the podcast, and we'll talk about that a bit later, but that's also a way of featuring our experts. And so hopefully journalists out there who's busy watching this episode would then also think, oh, okay, let me have a look at that and see, who I can reach out to as well. The next question is for both of you or either of you. What happens when an expert signs up but never updates their information, engages with the community, or responds to any opportunities? What happens then?
Yeah, that's a bit of a difficult one. So when an expert signs up and never updates the information or engages with the community, it really makes it becomes very difficult to amplify that voice. I think as Code W Plus, we constantly are responding to real-time media requests. So if your profile is updated or inactive, we simply can't put you forward, with confidence. And so we do send regular reminders. We do reach out to experts when there's a topical issue happening, and we want to feature you within the time, and we'll ask you to update your profile. But if there's no engagement, it's literally limits your visibility and the potential impacts that you can have. And in some of these cases, inactive profile may even be archived. Yeah, we archive them and keep them in the database, to keep the database fresh and media ready. But I'd say that ultimately, QW Plus works best as a living, breathing ecosystem. We thrive when experts are responsive, when they're visible, and when they're willing to share their insights. The more you show up as an expert, the more we can champion your voice.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I absolutely agree with that. You made me think of something now, because maybe people listening to this are thinking it's only a South African-based database. So I think it's also an opportunity for us to actually speak about the diversity in terms of who we are looking for. And if you are not on the database, you need to get there soon. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about who it is that we're looking for and where.
We're looking for women. I think we're looking for those marginalized voices. We currently have experts let me try and think, in Ghana, in Nigeria. We're currently vigorously looking for experts in Ethiopia, in Senegal. And we're looking for experts, women's voices, women plus voices everywhere. And so, if you've got something to say, you want your expertise to be heard, then I would say register on our database.
Fantastic. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we don't, whoever's listening doesn't think, oh, I have to be South African. No, not at all. We're looking for you. You need to put your voice in the space. You need to register. Okay, then we're moving on to, if there's no questions, let me just check the chat. Okay, it was just Joyce saying hello. And so, yeah, we've addressed that hello again. Okay, awesome. So moving on then, Palesa. Now we're talking about what mistakes you often see when you're going through people's bios. So there might be recurring errors or missing details that you noticed over the time period of engaging with bios. What should experts watch out for when they are busy drafting this?
Okay, so yeah, the mistakes that I usually come across are in their bios are the length of the bios. The bios are very, very long, and you'd say it's a 3-page CV. They are very, very long, and then some of them are very, very short. So they can be short like 3 lines, and they're like, no, there is no way we can I don't know, there's no way we can put you on our database with 3 lines of a bio. We need information. We need to know what you do and what you advocate for. And other mistakes are not putting your contact details. The question is, how are we going to get a hold of you? How are journalists going to get a hold of you if you don't have your contact details? And so yeah, and what I try to do is that I go onto LinkedIn to check if this person has a 3 sentences bio, what's happening on her LinkedIn. And if there's no LinkedIn profile, then it becomes more difficult.
Yeah.
It becomes really difficult. And if the bio is long, I shorten it, I summarize it in a way that it's going to be eye-catching for the media. And because when the bio is long, people are going to get very bored of reading it. Yeah, they want something that is, short and on point. So yeah, people should watch out for long bios.
Yeah.
Please, when you sign up on our database, please keep it short and on point and detailed. And please don't put a 3-sentence bio, because it's gonna be difficult for us, when
Yeah.
we onboard you. And yeah.
So I almost want to ask, isn't it better if they do the long one and you can summarize it as opposed to the short one, just in case they can't
Yeah.
find the sweet spot, or is there a
Yeah.
word limit that they should be looking at?
Yes. Okay. It is very. It's very good if they do it that way. If they send the long bio, because I'm going to summarize it and shorten it, but make it very detailed. And we have a word limit of 100 words. The bio is not
Okay.
allowed to go above 100 words.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Sure, that's a lot of summarizing if it's 3 pages. Okay. But at least it's something to work with. So that's good. So
Yeah.
again, Palesa
Yes.
just brought our attention back to LinkedIn profile. It needs to be up to date. It needs to show us who you are.
Yes.
I mean, I have gone on looking for experts, and you put in Renee Sparks and you might find 3 or 4 profiles of the person. Most of them don't have images, or they have an image that's not appropriate. It's not the person. It's, I don't know, some event you went to or something. So have a look at things like that, because that is really how we're gonna kind of streamline the process of vetting or verifying who you are. If I can't see who you are, if your title doesn't match, if the details are missing, and yeah, it makes it so much harder. And we do want our members to join as swiftly as possible and not have restrictions, because now we're still trying to figure out, but we also have to do our due diligence to make sure that this is really the person and the expert that we are now pitching to journalists as an expert in the field. So I hope whoever's listening to this, if you're an expert, if you have registered, reach out to us to find out if you can update that bio. And if you're still in the process of, then hopefully we're giving you some tips now to think about as you apply. Awesome. Javas, if there's any questions, please feel free to lift your hand or to put your voice in the space or to send a message. I'm happy to answer that. And you definitely need to join the database if you haven't done so. I'm going to move on then to making the most of our community communications. So we've spoken now about, besides the newsletter, you've actually touched on a little bit as to what else we have. There's also media outreaches that you do, and how do you manage that experts should know about and engage with the different types of media platforms we have or ways to reach out to people. So, I mean, I think all three of us can actually speak to that, but go for it, Wendy. I see you unmuted.
Yeah, no, I think we have several communication and media outreach initiatives that our experts can and should engage in. We run targeted media out matching where we pitch timely stories to journalists. We co-write pieces with experts. We not directly and then directing them to journalists, covering trending issues. We coordinate spotlight campaigns and thematic media drives. We also, I've just mentioned supporting, experts with opinion pieces, placements. We manage social media engagement and amplify, expert voices widely. We also have media trainings, where we for both partner other organizations as well as for individual experts. We've actually noticed recently that a lot of the experts that we've been adding recently, while many of them are here to speak, some haven't had the formal training on how to confidently respond, when a journalist calls up for an interview, a live TV interview, more specifically. So that's something that's in the pipeline that I'm currently planning. And I'd say that the more, responsive and visible you are within this amazing community, the more you're able to support and amplify the work that you do across all our channels.
I think that is incredible to be able to take people who, I mean, it's already hard for a woman to say she's an expert, right? It takes a lot of guts because we don't always jump up and go, yes, I'm that expert. But then for you to be able to guide people on how to engage with the media is also important, because I could be a community champion and my expertise is within the community, and that voice needs to be heard. It can't always be academic, and so it needs to also be authentic from the ground. And that person might not be as refined as the academic person when engaging with the media. And very often we see that. We see people being interviewed in a certain way, and obviously through a certain lens, because now you're looking at gender, race, and etc. So it is incredible that there's going to be this training, and I really hope that we will then be showcasing this training, as much as possible, so that new experts being onboarded and those existing that maybe hasn't been putting their hands up and kind of been more inactive will actually show up and engage with training like this. So really, really good insights there. And hopefully that's something that's recorded and they can latch on to. Palesa, is there anything you wanted to add about our social media platforms or?
I think Wendy covered all, like she covered everything, and I don't know what to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. I think from my side, probably just saying, if you haven't engaged with Quote This Woman, we do have a website, but besides the website, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on X. What's still, you would know.
LinkedIn,
And
yes,
what did I miss?
LinkedIn.
What, Instagram? Yeah, and Facebook.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. So we're on all up. How can I forget LinkedIn? That's like the biggest one we spoke about the whole time. But yes, so we have a social media platform and a presence out there. So please do latch on to any of that. Sign up for our newsletter so that you are part of the process. And before I move on, I saw a question from Javas. How do I add myself to the database? So that's the question before the how do you now manage the situation? Any of you want to add?
And it's very easy, Java. So literally, I will post our link here on the chat, and you can start the process where you just fill in your details, and then we will guide you and take you along until you are registered. But the first step starts with going to our website and creating that profile.
The profile, yes.
Fantastic. There you go, Javas. We want to see you on that database and very soon. And please do share with the rest of the Voices Fellows, because it's something that I think they all need to be part of as experts in their own right. Okay, moving on. Can either one of you, or both of you even, share a moment where an expert's media appearance or a newsletter feature led to something bigger?
Oh, yes. I actually just have one that comes to mind. So we had one of our experts reach out to us on a topic that was making headlines. I think it was the Judge Benenge tribunal that was going on. And so she, reached out to us and informed us that she felt that it was being reported lacked depth and accuracy. And because she's an expert within the field, she wrote, I might be wrong, but she had written a thesis on the issue or an aspect that was being discussed in the tribunal. And so we sat down with her, we composed an op-ed, we pitched it to the Mail Guardian, and the piece was basically picked up by a number of other media houses. She was also interviewed because this was an issue that was it was topical, and as a result, and obviously gaining national attention, she was later called in to testify
Yeah.
at the tribunal on that matter as an expert, and so just highlighting of how a powerful platform and the visibility of Hope This Woman Plus it can lead to not just in the media and, but I'd say that shaping the public discourse because she was able to be given an opportunity to give her expertise in this important tribunal that was going on.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
And I think we can give her flowers. That was Dr. Zakira Dokrat, right?
Yes.
And
yes,
she was
yes,
also
yes.
a Voices winner of 2022. So kudos to her. Thanks, Wendy. Palesa?
And also another thing is that even when they don't tell us, something that made them go big or anything, they do let us know that they've been featured, and journalists do reach out to them and they really thank us for being featured, because for them it's a very huge thing. And I've received many emails, experts telling me that they got interviews and it was wonderful, the experience was great. So
Yeah, thank you so much. I can amplify all of that because I was also with Zakira. I was part of the Voices 2022, and it is life-changing. So I mean, I'm not sitting here as a QW Plus staff member or support. I'm also a part of the database, and I am also was part of the Voices of 2022, and it has been life-changing. So even if, like you said, Palesa, if people don't necessarily come back to you, now and again you might get a shout out on the social media platforms, or you'd be able to see through your Google alerts that this person is actually being quoted, being seen, being noticed. And definitely QW Plus is really such a strong force in terms of our visibility. So to Women Plus out there, this is where you need to be part. You need to be part of this community in order to get your voice out there. Okay, so thank you so much for those beautiful stories. And then how experts can support the ecosystem is our next part. So what are some of the ways experts can support QW Plus besides just showing up in the database?
I'd say they can support, this beautiful ecosystem by referring other credible voices, contribute content like opinion pieces, success stories, just inform, let us know of other voices that we might not know of, that are out there. I think the one thing that I want to say is that this network thrives on mutual support and visibility. And so, your voice helps elevate others, and that, collective momentum is what makes QW Plus unique. And so, I think that's just the one thing that I would say. That I think a lot of the experts that we've brought on board have been by means of referral. They'll say, I know this amazing woman plus that is doing amazing work in this field. Please reach out to her, and so that's how we've been gathering a lot of the other experts that we have within our database.
Thank you. Anything from your end, Palesa, that you'd like to add, or you captured?
So I'd like to add that they have to be out there. They mustn't be afraid to be active on social media, because we are amplifying their voices. Actually, we're putting them on social media, we're putting them out there. So when they're also active on social media, they make things very easy for us. They show that they do support what we are doing as much as we are also supporting them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that. I just want to take a step back before we kind of close off this conversation, and it's probably around things that people have asked me. So we've just spoken about the vetting process of experts, but then some experts are like, so does it mean any journalist can just log in and get my details? And maybe that is where it comes in, Palesa, where some of them don't give their phone numbers or their contact details. What reassurance or what support or what structures do we have in place to ensure that not just anyone is accessing this information and now contacting me or whoever else, whatever?
Okay, we actually don't give out their information without their permission. So we ask for their permission first when a journalist is looking for an expert in health to be, for example, we do check on the health experts and we ask for permission to give out their profiles to journalists. And if they're not comfortable with that, we do not do that. So yeah, yes.
Fantastic.
And Wendy can
Just to
add
add,
to that.
yeah, and also just to add as well, when we have the media alerts that we're doing, we also don't just put your nice profile and send it
Yes.
off to a journalist. We'll come to you and say, issue is Trump. Are you comfortable in talking anything Trump related? And you give us the go ahead, we will then put your information so that we prep you by the time newsroom fall to a journalist from newsroom fall to calls and say, can I interview on this topic? It's been a process. It's been a back and forth process, so that you also have ample time to also prepare, your messaging before the interviews happen. So, I think also we within the onboarding process, we've got the Palesa, the copy. When you sign off and give us permission, then we can actually give your information to journalists. But another thing that I wanted to add is that we actually ensure that journalists that can access our database are journalists within our database. So we're not only registering just experts as well. It's also journalists that will come register on the database so that we become the credible voice. And there's a notion of respect between the journalists as well as experts. So the sharing of information is something that we take very seriously.
Thank you very much. That is reassuring. I mean, from the questions that I've had, that's been something. I mean, we had recently spoken about cyberbullying and so that's been something that people have been bringing up. Is my information just out there? Am I just, so it's amazing. And that is incredible. I mean, there's two of you. That's a lot of work, a lot of work to be tracking experts, to be checking with us. And sometimes we probably not as responsive. So please, experts and journalists out there, be responsive when you hear from these two amazing women, because they need, obviously, with anything in news, there's deadlines within media. So yeah, when they reach out to you to amplify your voice and to get you heard, please respond and let them know, yes, you can use my information. No, you can't. That's essentially it. And then also for those requests to update your bios, please do reach out to this team as well. Okay, so we are reaching the last question. And the question is, what's one piece of advice you'd offer to a new or inactive expert to help them get the most out of the QW Plus journey?
I'll say that be proactive, visibility, be proactive. Being proactive, visibility it's not just about being listed, So just creating a profile is just not, it's not the end of it all. You also need to show up as an expert. You need to keep those profiles updated, respond to the request, and obviously we would love it if you would share your wins with us and engage with us on our platform. I think you never know who's watching and what door it might open for you as an expert. And also just to say that this community works better when we all show up together, So I would just say, yeah, be proactive, visibility, just be out there, and show up. And just to emphasize on keeping those profiles updated.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Palesa, from your side?
So I was even also about to say, be out there. Don't be afraid to do interviews. Don't be afraid to speak to journalists, because we want the best for you. And when we amplify your voice, then it means you're going to speak to journalists. You're going to tell your story. So don't be afraid to speak to journalists. Don't be afraid to be active on our database, on social media. And yes, be out there. We are amplifying your voice. So yes.
Yay, amazing. Okay, so moving on to how you can get those interviews done and get interview ready. We also have the Quote Me on That podcast, and that's the perfect place or platform for you, a safe space where you can just talk about yourself and what it is that you do, and we will amplify that as well. So Quote Me on That is posted every Wednesday, and it's part of our Wise Women Wednesday posts. So in the past, you would have seen that we quoted famous women, and now we're quoting ones we want to make famous, right? So we're quoting experts from our database. We're quoting women that have had these Quote Me on That discussions. It's a short discussion. It can range from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on how you want to talk about what it is you do and why it's important that you do what you're doing. So please do reach out to us if you want to be part of that series. You'll see that every Wednesday there is something. And if it's not one of our experts, it will be again a phenomenal woman that we are quoting. We also have these sessions, the Ask Us Anything sessions, which is the first Thursdays at 3. So again, it's an opportunity if you feel that, well, there's something really topical that would help our entire community, then please feel free to let us know. We're happy to create a webinar on that, or to bring people together to kind of have these conversations. So again, it's a safe space. Do follow us on our social media platforms. Please do share, because this is the only way that we can also amplify, is if we as an ecosystem come together and do that for each other. So have a look at wherever you see Quote This Woman Plus or Quote Me on That hashtags, and do try to amplify that as well. Javas, you are still with us. Is there anything that you wanted to say? Please do. You don't just have to type.
No, I think everything is clear. The
Okay.
information I got is very important. That I need to be active. That's the only way that people might know about my job or about my work on the community. So I think that is very important. And the update of the bio, I think, is also very important.
Yes.
I think it was so helpful.
Fantastic, Javas. And I see, Adrian, you've joined us as well. Is there anything that you'd like to ask or would like to comment on? You're free to do that. Thanks, Javas. Okay, not at this moment. Or okay. Hi.
A bit challenge with technology here.
No problem.
I am of the older generation, so we are a bit challenged. Great discussion you guys had. I did join a little bit late, so I didn't catch all of it, because I was thinking I'll just privately actually speak to you.
No problem, you may.
But yeah, I think you guys are doing such a great job. I know for myself, I'm one of those people. You don't feel like you are an expert or a professional, even though you are doing the work. That's just sometimes like what women sometimes deal with. So it's so nice that you have the support of other women that are amplifying voices of people known, and for some that needs to become known. So thank you, ladies.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adrian. Thanks for joining. So yes, here we go. If it's easier for you to reach out to us individually, that's perfectly fine. But if if possible, feel free to latch onto any of our social media platforms. And Adrian, I can't agree enough. Women don't step into their light very easily. Very often it's a group of other women that kind of get us there. I mean, I don't easily accept the title expert either, but if I have a group of women going, well, actually, this is your expertise, speak about it, then it does help. And this is what Quote This Woman does. It allows that opportunity for you to actually stand in your light. But in order to stand in your light, you need your profile to showcase that. So please, I can't say that enough, because it's the most painful thing to want to amplify a woman's voice, and then I can't tag her on a social media platform. So again, it's part of our way of making sure that you get the flowers that you need, the light shed on your topic, but also that whoever's watching us post is aware that we are posting someone that we've already vetted, that we verified, that we've had conversations with, that we've engaged with, that's part of our community. And it just makes our lives easier in that way. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that we might have missed, Wendy or Palesa, that I didn't touch on?
I think we covered just about everything. Yeah. I'd encourage everyone to register, and should they have any problems, we are always welcome to us as well, by email or by WhatsApp. I'm always ready to assist an expert.
Okay, no problem. So at the end of the session, there'll be a slide on when it's posted on YouTube with the information, like the email address that you can email your things to. And again, if none of that works, I think your quickest response is if you actually ask a question or put a comment out on one of our social media platforms when we have posted something. We will definitely get back to you. So yeah, I can definitely just say that being part of this community is something that really gives you a stepping stone to visibility to the media, but also within your community of experts. And one thing I wanted to also highlight is that we are as diverse in terms of topics. So you could be an expert in, I actually went onto the database when I was looking for guests for Quote Me on that. And I found someone with working in, what was it, planetary health, looking at another person that was oceanography. You know, it's completely broad. Economics, political analysts, whatever. It's not just one particular thing. So it doesn't matter what you're an expert in. I actually even had an interview with a woman in Nigeria who does entrepreneurship. I mean, I've never heard of it, but the minute her podcast is available, please do go and have a look. And that's Clementina Buseo. I'm going to say her name here so that you can hear and maybe even follow her on social media. But incredible things. So don't feel that if you have expertise in something so niche that you shouldn't be part of this, you absolutely should be. And also don't feel like if you an expert in something that you have many experts in, I can off the top of my head just think around public health and GBV. We still need your voice. You might have a very different lens, which is what we do need, because we want that diversity. So thank you so much. We are finishing a little bit earlier, but I think we have exhausted the topic, and I hope that we have covered absolutely every question that you've had around once you join what now. Yeah. Thank you so much. I've been your host, Renee Sparks, and with my wonderful colleagues here, Palesa and Wendy. Until next time, see you at First Thursdays at 3 next month. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.